Hey guys, GM, hey everyone. We'll slowly let people join. Um, cool. Welcome everyone that's joining slowly or that is joining via recording. Um, I want to introduce Vivi from PSE, who will be helping us with our final library workshop for NoirHack. She'll be walking through MoPro, and she'll show us how we can basically use it in our projects. And she'll walk through some practical examples through ZK email and show how to integrate a Noir circuit into a native mobile app. So for all you guys interested in building mobile apps with Noir, I think this would be a great workshop for you all. So Vivi, I'll let you take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vivi from PSE, and let me share my screen. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, nice. So this is the links to today's slides and also the demo repository for the NoirHack. Yeah, it's just a linktree/zk MoPro. Yeah, so what is MoPro? MoPro is short for Mobile Prover. So our goal is to empower developers with a robust ecosystem for building privacy-preserving mobile apps. So it's not only ZK, but also MPC, FHE, and or any other privacy-preserving cryptography protocols. So, and our documentation is in zkmopro.org. Yeah, so what MoPro provides. So first of all, we provide Rust wrappers for different proving systems. For example, Noir, it has the backend written in C++, and then we can create a Rust wrappers for this backend, so you can easily write Rust code for to call this proving backend. And we also have Rust wrappers for example, Circom, and but it is maybe it would be not used here. Yeah, and next we help developers to generate bindings for cross-platform languages, for example, iOS, Android, and even Watson. And we create CLI tools for developer, and it is inspired by Foundry. So, and also create React app. So you can easily just use CLI to create an example app for the, for example, ZK project. And also we could create, we build starter templates to quickly bootstrap projects. For example, iOS, Android, React Native, and Flutter templates. And we also provide the mobile SDK management for if you want to create your circuit as a package, you can also use our templates and publish this kind of package yourself. For example, we provide ZK email SDK for iOS and Android and React Native and Flutter. So other mobile developers can just use, for example, npm install to install this kind of packages that has already built by ZK developers. Yeah, so how to build with a Noir circuit. Like I mentioned before, we provide Rust wrappers for Noir front-end and back-end proving systems. So you can just write a Rust code to generate, for example, witness and proof in Rust. And our repo is under zkmopro/noir-rs. So why we're using Noir RS? For example, if we want to prove in mobile, we don't have to maintain both platform-specific languages for in Swift for iOS or in Kotlin for Android, we can just use Rust, which we are more familiar with, and generate the bindings for the proof function. And then when we define a function, for example, a function called proof zk email, and we define what is the input and the output, and then we can add the macro procedural with UniFFI, and it's called UniFFI export, and then it will notice our CLI to export these bindings for your mobile native. Yeah, and after you define this kind of function API, you can export bindings with MoPro CLI, and you can go to the documentation to see how to install the MoPro CLI. Yeah, but I can also show here. Yes, for example, you need to clone the MoPro repository and go to the CLI package. Oh, sorry. And then install this path. And then you will see the MoPro CLI is installed. And because we also provide this ZK email example here. So you can just clone this repository and then run the MoPro build to build the bindings. So for example, I already have the MoPro ZK email dash Noir, and you can see the it is in the current man, and you can follow the README to run MoPro build and choose the build mode. For example, release for first fast proving, and debug mode is for fast building. And here we choose the release mode, and you can choose the platform you want to build for. And here we only provide iOS and Android. We haven't integrate the web wasn't in this example. Yeah, and current Noir RS only support iOS device and Android with Arch 64. So make sure you just choose the first one of the architecture and the last one, Arch 64 Linux Android. And actually it will run for like several minutes, but I already run this in my local, so it might be faster to build. So this command is basically generate this iOS and Android bindings in your local. So it will have a binaries for iOS, and also the function API defined in Swift, like in the source lib.rs. Yeah, here we define the proof zk email function, and then it will appear also in the MoPro.swift, and also in Kotlin, for example, proof zk email. Yeah, there's a function. There is a FFI for Kotlin and iOS. Yeah, so and Yeah, next step is to manually update the bindings in your iOS and Android project, because actually it can be done with also MoPro COI, but we haven't integrated this feature. So if you are interested in this, or you think it is an important feature, welcome to contribute to MoPro GitHub. Yeah. Yeah, so here we just use manually update the bindings, and it is written in the README. Yeah, here we can copy this to update the bindings in iOS and Android. And yeah, let me go with iOS and Android first. So we can just open the iOS project. Yeah, and make sure you download Xcode and Android Studio for develop your mobile apps. Yeah, and after you open the Xcode, you might notice that there's the signature might be wrong, and just choose your name and run build with uh, this button, and make sure you choose a device. For example, Mac is a device, and my iPhone is also another device, but not to choose other simulators, because we don't support the simulator right now. Yeah, I use the Mac device and try to run zkemail proof and zkemail verify. Yeah. And for Android, because we also update the bindings in Android, and you can also open the Android project in Android Studio and run the, also press this button to run. Yeah, you will see a app like this, and then you can press the button, generate zkemail proof, and verify zkemail proof. Yeah. And for iOS and Android, this one is written in Swift, and the other one is written in Kotlin. Yeah, but if you want to build a cross-platform app with, for example, React Native or Flutter, you can follow the instruction in the later description. So for example, the React Native, you can also copy this command to update the bindings in the React Native project. Yeah, copy the command and update the bindings. And how to run in React Native app. So you go to the React Native and run npm install. So it's pretty similar to what you develop with TypeScript or JavaScript. And the package manager is npm. And yeah, if you want to run for iOS device, you can just run npm run iOS in the React Native directory. And it only works for device, so I use the device tag here. And make sure if you have an iPhone. Yeah, so here is my iPhone device, and I choose this. and it will build an app in your iPhone or iOS device. Yeah, it might take some time to build. So my suggestion is that you can choose either React Native or Flutter, but not choose all of them to build your app. So you can just choose what you are more familiar with or you want to play with. Yeah, and here's my iPhone device, and I can run the cameo proof with the button and verify. Yeah, and for Android is the similar, but before the workshop, I just found that the React Native for Android has some error, and I haven't figured out why it is. So yeah, here is the simulator, and if I want to run proof, it shows some error, and I will take some time to look into this error and try to fix it. Yeah, and another one is Flutter. Flutter is also a cross-platform framework, so that you build iOS, both iOS and Android. So you can leave the React Native app and go to the Flutter app and check your Flutter environment if you are just new to the Flutter tool. And it helps you to check your, for example, Android Studio, Xcode, Chrome, VS Code, and if you have already downloaded Flutter, something like that, and install Flutter dependencies just like npm install and run the app. And make sure you turn on the emulators or simulators, or you have already connect your iPhone before running this command. Or it will just use the iPhone simulator, but it doesn't support for iPhone simulator. Yeah, for example, I choose to run on my iPhone. It also takes some time to build. So when you are running this command, please be patient. And my experience is that Flutter is building faster than React Native. So if you prefer fast developing or fast building, you can choose Flutter. It has a better performance when building, and if you want to update any code. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, it's already installed on my iPhone. So you can see this my iPhone device, and I can run generate leak email proof and verify it. And we can also try to run on Android device, Android simulator. Yeah, so you can run generate proof, verify proof. Yeah, and it works. And yeah, so we have go through the manual update bindings for React Native and Flutter. Just follow the README in MoPro ZK email -noir, and how to run the app. For example, iOS, Android, and React Native and Flutter. Yeah, just choose one of this framework you are familiar with. And here is the screenshot for iOS and Android. And it is a Flutter example. And for more advanced use cases, for example, you are not only use the generate Noir proof in your project. For example, you want to also integrate a semaphore protocol, and you can just import the semaphore RS Rust scratch in the cargo.toml file and define the function API, for example, get ID commitment, and you input your secret and it returned a commitment string. And make sure you add the UNIF export just right before your function. And then you need to run MoPro build again to to build for iOS and Android. Yeah. And yeah, I also want to introduce how you if you want to change to different circuits. Yeah, because in this example we use the ZK email circuit, but but there should be other circuits you want to use. And so you have to prepare your SRS file and bytecode that is compiled from Noir compiler. And for bytecode file, you just need to put it in the circuit ZK email or your circuit name .json. And in the proof ZK email function, we import this circuit file here, and we read the bytecode part from this circuit, and then call the Rust function to that it generate the proof according to the bytecode. Yeah, but for the SRS file, we define in different places in the project. So for example, the iOS we defined in the content view. Oh. Yeah, you have to import SRS in as a resource in the app bundle. And if you are not familiar with this iOS development, you can refer to MoPro documentation, and there is or maybe blog. Yeah, for its Taipei workshop, we record this kind of video, and you can check how to import, for example, ZKey for circumprover. Yeah, and for example, you find these bundle resources, and then you drag your keys from your folder and to put it into the bundle resources. Yeah, and then you can use use this file in S code Yeah, and for Android, it's more easy. You can just go to this directory and replace this srs.local, and you don't have to do that like the in the Xcode. And for React Native, I try to download from a server. Yeah, because if the file is too large, it has better to download from server, so you don't have to upload to GitHub, because the GitHub limit is 100 megabyte. So we can also let the app to download this SRS that URL, and then it will save to a file stream, a file system. And for Flutter, I put it in the assets. So the same, you can just update this file, and then you can use this SRS in the Flutter app. Yeah, I think it's basically all I want to cover. Any questions so far?
No, no questions so far. Oh, okay. Actually, we just got a question. Um, oh, actually, no. It's just someone's mentioning how they're thinking about the approach. Oh, you have one, Octavio? Go ahead. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, otherwise I can ask them. Okay, so Octavio asked in the chat, does it have abstractions to work with the phone's hardware, like the camera?
Yeah, you can just develop the camera, develop with camera with, like, for example, Swift and React Native and Flutter. I think Flutter has a good framework to let you interact with the camera. Yeah, and then you can just
Hmm.
define this kind of function in mobile native code, but not in the Rust binding. But because Rust binding is mostly for generating proofs and computing something.
So then you can use it on the Flutter
Yeah.
or Swift side, and then basically it is abstracted then. So then for folks who are interested in, so in Octavio's case, he's wanting to use a QR scanning through the phone.
Mm,
So
mm,
for like, sounds like he's interested in doing something to help with scientific experiments and to ensure that it happened in a particular window of time. So I think like if you have any aspect that could be related to phone and QR scanning, do you
mm.
think that MoPro in general would make it easier to develop for people building with NoirHack?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so basically in another, like, Scopal hackathon, actually there's also a project they built with MoPro, and then you you basically can generate a ZK proof with MoPro bindings, and you can process this QR code as a yeah, like a QR code, and other, and you can also use the app to scan this QR code and verify it. Yeah, but the scan and generate this kind of QR code could be done in mobile native framework. But it depends on what you um which one is easier for you. But for hardware device controller, I think a mobile native framework might be more useful to develop with, and also handle better the device hardware device.
Hmm. So I had a couple of questions. I feel again, if anyone is interested in asking that's here live now, feel free to just message in the chat. We also have the Q&A, but I have some questions. So I'm curious, since the NoirHack program, we have 2 weeks of learn, 2 weeks of build. Some people have already started building. Many people who are watching this recording may start building after watching the recording. at which point we'll have like about 2 weeks for building. So I'm curious as to what you think might be realistic for people to implement on MoPro. What kind of exciting projects you'd want to see, whether they're in the scope of ZK email or something else.
Yeah, I think ZK email might be a good scope because they already have their Noir circuit, so you don't have to build a new circuit and to handle too much of that. And we also have some projects example in our documentation. So basically, if you imagine any kind of mobile app that you have already used that every day, for example, X, YouTube, or GitHub, something like that, any kind of Web2 apps you can imagine, you can try to build it as a ZK version with Noir. Yeah, it might be pretty interesting to play with.
So maybe like a version of X, but you have to
Yeah,
sign something through email to verify that
yeah,
you're, or even like a JWT. So do you have
yeah.
other examples of libraries with Noir and MoPro? So I know there's the ZK email example. Are there any other examples that people can look at for Noir specifically?
Uh, Actually, I don't have any other Noir example, but I think for Noir case, it's pretty easy to integrate in MoPro. Like I said, we can just replace the SRS.local and also the bytecode. You can just replace these two of them. And yet, yeah, you have to parse your input to fit in the Noir circuit.
Sounds
Mm,
cool. So then you could probably build a pretty simple like X, like for example, and use JWT. Like you could do use the
mm.
sign JWT, or email could be a good example also, where if you have the email for sign in, you have to prove like that you received that email. For like maybe even like exchanges. Maybe you prove you're like a Gemini or Coinbase holder, or you work at a certain company. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I have some more questions. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free. Um, so uh, for people who are looking to contribute to MoPro, I know part of what you guys are looking for as PSE and hosting this workshop with NoirHack is you guys are looking for contributors. Maybe you could share the way in which people could make community contributions and maybe what you'd like to see um, people contribute.
Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you for bringing this up. So basically, our you can just check to the MoPro issues. So they are basically what we want to solve in and can be defined clearly. So like I mentioned that now we have to manually update the bindings in for example, CP dash R, and you copy these folders to another destination. And actually, is defined in to 94, issue to 94. Yeah, so we would like to provide this kind of better developer experience um, to update bindings easily. Yeah, and also if you have any questions when developing with MoPro, feel free to create issues and let us know what is missing and how we can support your project. Yeah,
I also saw that the proving time is a bit faster on iOS versus Android.
yeah.
What accounts for that? Why is it uh, like kind of like I think it's like 3 times faster on iOS?
Mm. Right now, I don't have a clear answer. Yeah.
No worries, I was curious. And then I guess like with the repository and looking through some of it, you mentioned like the SRS files. Maybe if you have some recommended approach for managing these across like multiple platforms. So let's say I'm trying to build for both Android and iOS like a basic ZK email app. Maybe if
Mm.
you have any thoughts about how to do that and how to approach like yeah, structuring a project across both.
Yeah, so if you want to cross platform, I would suggest to use React Native or Flutter. And if you want to choose React Native, I think you might be big more familiar with like TypeScript or JavaScript languages, and then you can just use the similar front end languages in React Native. And I think Flutter is now a more fast one. Yeah, when you're building an app, it builds really fast. So if you are you want to challenging some new languages, you can choose to use Flutter. It, and my experience is also that Flutter can handle the hardware resource pretty well. For example, the camera and the your photos. Yeah, you can choose your photos and upload to a server or something. The developer experience and users experience is so smooth in Flutter. So I would suggest to give it a try to use Flutter to build a mobile app. Yeah.
And for people who are maybe coming from a background that's not as mobile oriented, maybe they have limited mobile experience, what platform do you think is the easiest? And it seems like maybe this ZK email example would be the easiest to start with.
Mm.
But any recommendations for people who are maybe new to mobile and want to explore with MoPro?
Mm, yeah. Actually, uh, because yeah, also though the React Native and Flutter they can build for both platforms, but you have to also define the iOS and Android execution and also APIs in each platform. So I would say the Swift one and Kotlin one is more friendly because you don't have to define another APIs for a different framework. Yeah, because for example, in React Native, the language is TypeScript, right? And we have the iOS and Android languages. So you have to define both iOS and Android API, and then you need to define also the TypeScript API to let both function work. So I would say if you want to try to getting start with, just choose one uh, Swift one or Kotlin one, and you don't have to define like three languages um, for different platforms.
Awesome, that makes sense. And then I also wanted to ask you, what were some of the most challenging aspects of porting this ZKML circuit logic to work effectively with NoirRS and with MoPro?
Mm, yeah, good question. We just encounter a big a challenge that because when we generate the bindings for ZK email, the binding size is too big. It's more than the limit of that GitHub can upload. So the GitHub limitation is 100 megabytes, and we cannot just upload this kind of bindings on GitHub. So we need to like zip these bindings and then upload to other server. And during the building, we need to download this big bindings and integrate it in mobile native. I think it's the most challenging part. But if people encounter this issue, you can refer to MoPro issues because we already solved them, and but we haven't updated it. Yeah, I will update it later. Yeah, I will write down the solution to deal with this kind of large size bindings to let you build the mobile app. Yeah.
Awesome. And if people are building with MoPro, where can they ask questions and get responses fast? Is it just PSE, like the Discord you guys have, or is there a better place like Telegram group or something?
Yeah, good question. We have a Telegram group. I think it's more responsive. Yeah, and we will see this message quickly. Yeah, and let me just share the Telegram group link in the chat.
Cool,
Yeah,
awesome. And for everyone listening in the recording, I will share this in our Notion start page also. Let me
thank
just
you.
write this down. Cool. And I had, I guess, one final question was just to ask you, to give people more ideas around what you guys are excited. I kind of maybe asked this a little bit already around like what's realistic to build in the timeline, but maybe you could just share what ideas are exciting for you. So you mentioned like building apps that already exist with ZK functionality enabled.
Mm.
Are there any specific use cases that you're especially excited by for mobile, whether it's in this timeline is possible to build or not? Just any really cool things that you guys built MoPro for that you'd really be excited to see.
Mm, I know that recently the semaphore team also have their Noir circuit implementation. So maybe people can also refer to uh, the previous semaphore projects and look to and find the interesting one. For example, I'm also very interested in like anonymous chat. So if once you prove that you are one of the members in PSE, and then you can just use semaphore proof to prove that in the membership of the group. So you don't have to prove the ZK email proof every time when you want to like chat or communicate with each other constantly. Yeah, I think might be exciting to see like two different circuits work with each other and one can help each other.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I would love if you guys have any ideas in general that you'd want hackers to build during NoirHack. Feel free to share them with me, and I'm happy to share them in our Discord
Yeah,
after or share them in our Notion page. But
yeah.
cool, Vivi, thank you for this. This is awesome. For anyone listening to the recording, just check our NoirHack start page for more information. We'll post all these resources that Vivi has shared in the chat, especially the Telegram. Um, yeah, and in general, I think if you guys are interested in building with mobile at all, it sounds like some of you who are here in the live session had some potential mobile overlap where you wanted to do QR code scanning or things like that. I think MoPro will just make it way easier. So definitely give it a shot and try to integrate. And feel free to ask questions. But thanks, everyone. We'll see you for the next few workshops. Thanks again, Vivi.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.